Okay, please excuse my super messy recording space. I've been cleaning and painting, and here is my office. So, somebody mentioned in the comments that we should temperament test the puppies, and I don't know a lot about it. I actually kind of thought temperament testing was more for like service dogs, which I mean it is, but it is for service dogs, but it actually tells you a lot. And so I've been doing a little bit of research and I find it really fascinating. And I 100% want to temperament test the puppies, these puppies, and any future puppies that we continue to bring in and work with. And if you applied for a puppy, if you applied to adopt a puppy, I highly encourage you to familiarize yourself with temperament testing, and we plan on doing it with these puppies. It recommends that you do it between 7 to 10 weeks for the best and most accurate results. So that's about when we're going to do it. They just turned 5 weeks old yesterday. So February 20th. So we're going to be doing that temperament testing in the next, 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah, 4 or 5 weeks. So if like I said, again, if you applied to adopt a puppy, I highly recommend that you watch this video and that you also watch our videos in the future where we're going to post a video temperament testing each puppy. So you kind of know, or rather watch a video that we temperament test the puppies. That way you kind of know what you're getting into. It's a guideline. So it's like, if you temperament test them and then you get that information on them, whether they're going to be mild, more outgoing, a little more skittish, more prone to biting, that doesn't mean that if they're more prone to biting, they're going to bite everyone. It doesn't mean that if they're more skittish, they're never going to be confident. It just means that that is the kind of training that you need to direct with your dog. So if they're more prone to biting, you're going to have to put more effort into management and training them not to mouth, not to bite. And you have to be very careful if you play rough with a dog, they may be more prone to biting. As on the other end, if there's one that is more skittish or timid with the temperament testing, then they may be more prone to getting scared of new things. Maybe they may be more afraid of fireworks or loud noises, dropping things, loud households with very, very loud children, or they may be more likely to get bullied by children. So it's just something to consider. And I think it's extremely important to understand temperament testing. And when you do take on one of these dogs, you're kind of understanding that you're adopting a dog not just because you like the way it looks, but you're adopting their personality as well. And I think that that's something that a lot of people overlook when they're adopting dogs. And I really want to kind of try to educate ourselves and other people on what to look for when you're taking on a dog. So these are the guidelines that we will be using to temperament test the dogs. And these are kind of what the scores mean based off of the volharddognutrition.com. And so if they get mostly ones, they're going to have a strong desire to be a pack leader. They're not shy. They'll try to basically when it says they're not shy about bucking for a promotion is if you have other dogs, they are going to try to make themselves the dominant dog in the hierarchy of that household. They'll have a predisposition to being aggressive to people and other dogs. So you're going to have to work really hard with them to make sure that they have good training on that kind of behavior, so when you bring a new person into the house, make sure that it's done correctly and that they get exposed to lots of people and other dogs all the time with positive associations because they may be more likely to bite. And that they should only be placed into an experienced home where the person is familiar with dog training. They maybe have the capability to take a dog to training classes, and they have already had dogs before and probably not recommended for a first-time dog owner. And it says that the tips, stay away from ones and twos. If it has a lot of leadership aspirations and may be difficult to manage, it needs an experienced home, and it's not recommended for a household with children. Now, again, I'm sure that these types of dogs can be put in a household with children, but they're going to require extensive training, and you're going to have to watch them, and you're going to have to make sure that you supervise them and, mitigate some of those accidents from happening. So, a dog that has mostly twos is also going to have leadership aspirations, and they may be hard to manage and have the capacity to bite. They're going to have a lot of confidence, and they should not be placed in an experienced home. It should likely be somebody that's already had dogs before, maybe is a little familiar with training, or has the capability to take them to training classes. They can be a little bit unruly with children or elderly people, which means they're going to have super, super high energy. They may be more prone to biting when it comes to like small children that are very, very hands on. Obviously, at the end of the day, if you could tell your child, hey, don't pull on the dog's ears, don't pull out the dog's jowls, but at the end of the day, if you have a 2-year-old, they're probably going to do it anyway. They're going to need a strict schedule, lots and lots of exercise, and lots of training. If you're somebody that doesn't usually have a strict schedule, sorry, my bird's flying around, my animals always make cameos, someone said. And they have the potential to be a great show dog with someone that understands dog behavior. So if you're kind of looking for a dog that's maybe like a single family household, maybe like an athletic household, you do a lot of hiking, you're very active, you might consider getting a dog that has a lot of twos or ones, if you are experienced and have that kind of lifestyle. So, a dog with mostly threes in their temperament are going to be high energy. Again, they're going to need a lot of exercise. And I need to bring it to your attention as well. Obviously, a lot of you know these dogs are most definitely, we are for sure, they have German Shepherd in them, and they have most likely Amstaff, the American Staffordshire, and Pit Bull. These are going to be medium to large breed dogs. They need a lot of exercise, and dogs need a lot of exercise anyway, but obviously, the larger the breed, the more exercise they're going to need. And I think the thing that people overlook is that when they hear, oh, dog needs a lot of exercise, they think a walk or maybe 2 walks. No, large breed dogs, especially working dogs like a German Shepherd that were bred for herding livestock, they need aerobic exercise. They need at least 2 hours cumulative aerobic exercise per day, which means that you have to throw toys. You have to maybe take this dog on a training course. You need to run with this dog. You need to take it to a dog park, let it run around and get energy out for a cumulative minimum amount of 2 hours per day. If you can't do that, if you're disabled, I mean, I have back problems. So I'm lucky that I have a partner that's very active, but you have to just take into consideration these things that we don't really think about. A bulldog is not going to need 2 hours of aerobic exercise, but a German Shepherd is. And if they don't get it, they will be destructive. If you're very sensitive, if you don't like your stuff being destroyed, maybe these dogs aren't the right dog for you. So these kinds of dogs with mostly threes, they're going to be high energy. They need lots of exercise. They're usually good with people and other animals. They can be a little bit of a handful without proper training and management and exercise. They need training. They do very well at it. They learn very quickly. They're very eager to learn. And they're a great dog for a second time owner. So if you have had a dog before, and this maybe is your second dog, this would be more likely to be a great dog for you. And again, some of these things you can have a lot of combinations. You can have a couple twos and a couple threes, maybe a one, and that's just going to kind of depend on the dog. A dog with mostly fours in their temperament is going to be a kind of dog that it says makes a perfect pet. You're going to really, this is going to be the best choice for a first time dog owner. They're pretty mild. They aren't going to try to become the alpha in their personal hierarchy. The reason why people say buck for promotion instead of alpha is because like a lot of the feelings that we think like we learned about alpha in dog hierarchy or in a household have been debunked. So just take into consideration when I say alpha, I just mean the way that the dogs interact with each other. If one of them will try to become the dominant dog, but the whole alpha thing when it comes to humans and training has been debunked. These dogs are easier to train. They're more quiet. They don't really don't bark a lot. They don't really get into too much mischief. They're good with more elderly people, children. But this is where it kind of started getting into they may need protection from children. They might get bullied by children. So you just have to take that into consideration. If you choose this pup, take it to obedience classes and it'll be one of the best dogs there because they really, really love to work and they love to please. And this little tidbit says, The puppies with mostly threes and fours can be quite a handful, but should be good with children and do well with training. Energy needs to be dispersed with plenty of exercise. Just take into consideration again that all dogs need training and exercise, and I will stand by that. I 100% believe that all dogs need discipline, training, exercise, and structure. If your dog was never trained and never exercised and is a good dog, it is an outlier, and I won't budge on that. All dogs should get training and exercise and should have discipline and structure in their life to be happy and healthy dogs. Mostly fives is where we start kind of getting into like the more fearful, shy dogs, special handling. They'll run away at a lot of stress. They're a little bit less likely to maybe like start fights with their litter mates. Strange people, strange places, and even different floors or ground surfaces, like textures going from like tile to carpet or going from indoors to outdoors asphalt. They may get upset. They may not want to go on walks. They're best for like a quiet household with just like a quiet couple or even an older couple. If they're cornered and can't get away, they may have a tendency to bite. They'll be fearful and less likely to kind of be agreeable. They're often afraid of loud noises. They're terrified of thunderstorms. And when you greet them upon your return, they may be submissive. They may pee themselves. They need a very special home where the environment doesn't change too much and where there are usually no children. And this tip says, avoid the puppies with several sixes. It's so independent that it doesn't need you or anyone. He is his own person and unlikely to bond to you. And this is for like a lot of service dogs or working dogs or dogs that, you know, you really want to be extremely obedient. You're going to want to avoid those kinds of dogs with a lot of fives and sixes because, one, they're going to be very fearful and not take to training as well. Kind of like Solari, where she does take to some training, but she does get very, very scared sometimes with certain new things. Or they're so independent that they don't really want to listen, like a lot of huskies or a lot of very, very hard to manage dogs. And last but not least, this is the sixes. This is the independent dog that doesn't need you or other people or other dogs. It says they're great guard dogs for gas stations. They don't really care if they're trained. They're their own person. They're unlikely to bond to you since they don't really feel like they need you. Says, do not take this puppy and think you can change him into a lovable bundle. You can't, so leave well enough alone. This is kind of like aimed towards the fixers. You really can't change this dog. Don't try. This is kind of how my husky was. She was a very smart dog, but for the most part, she was very independent. She was just kind of like, I'm not really interested. If she didn't feel like doing it, she wouldn't. She didn't really want to listen. And a lot of the time, she just really didn't need me. So she just kind of left. You know, separation anxiety is a little bit of a different issue. It doesn't really have to do with this. It's more so how they interact with you. So this is just a little tidbit about kind of like what it's going to look like when we're training the dogs and the work that we're going to put into them to try to find this information out. And we will have this information for you guys about the dogs around 7, 8, 9 weeks. We're going to start doing it around that time. Usually, I think that the website recommends that you do retest them at like 6 months because their personalities can shift and change as they age and become more confident in their surroundings. But for the most part, this is going to be a baseline of kind of how they are and the training that they're going to require. So if you did reach out to adopt one of the puppies and they end up with this personality type that you're kind of like, oh, I don't really know if I could deal with that, then I encourage you to either wait, like try to adopt a different puppy, wait until maybe we have other dogs in the future, or go to your local shelter and ask them if they wouldn't mind you doing a temperament test on them, because sometimes some shelters will let you do a few of the temperament tests with the dog. It's just I'll put a video in the description that kind of goes over how sometimes like the temperament testing in shelters might not give you everything that you need, but this is just a really good look into kind of what to look for when you're picking out a puppy, if you're looking at the puppies that we're going to adopt out, or if you're looking at a puppy in the future. So I hope this helps, and you can expect to see a video on their temperament in a few weeks. So thank you, everyone. See you in the next video. Bye.